Hello and welcome to Fake Russian Accent How to on Basic Redstone. No, actually I'm just messing with you about that first part. I won't be doing that horrible accent, but I will teach you everything I know about basic redstone techniques in 15 minutes or less. First and foremost, I'm going to teach you about how redstone behaves. Redstone dust may only be placed on a floor. It will break instantly when you hit it. And the floor must be made of something that isn't glass or half steps or a few other things. Redstone dust has two possible states. It is either powered, like that, it glows red and has those sparkly things coming off it, or unpowered. And the way to power it is to use either a pressure plate, or a lever, or a button, or a redstone torch. Active redstone dust will transfer power or signal, the two are used interchangeably, to redstone dust that is standing next to it, like this. It will also go up and down steps unless the path is blocked, the diagonal path. However, as you can see here, you can use glass on the diagonal, and that will not block the flow of power. Redstone power will travel 15 tiles through a path of redstone dust before it's too far, at which point you will have to do something clever, but I'm not going to show you just what yet. We have a few other things that need explaining first. In order to use redstone power, generally you want the redstone dust to be pointing directly at a block, as here. If the redstone were just passing next to the block, like this one, it would not be powering it. However, there are some special considerations that we will mention later. One thing of note is that it's possible, when there is a torch on top of a block, for the redstone dust to look like it's pointing at the block. But if you remove the torch, you will see that it's not actually doing so. And therefore the torch is not responding to redstone power. If it were responding to redstone power, you'd see it turn off. Some redstone powered devices are lenient in how they'll accept power. Take this door for instance. If you power any of the blocks of the yellow cloth blocks around it, the door will open. And if you unpower them, the door will close. On the other hand, something like this note block will only respond to power when it is powered directly. It will specifically not respond to power if you're powering a block nearby, like for instance that one. The difference between the two is only knowable through testing, and I encourage you to try all combinations that you think should work to see which ones actually do. Now let's go back to redstone input. How do you actually get power into a block? Well, you see here I have a demonstration of exactly what tiles of redstone will be activated whenever you use any of these particular redstone input devices. We'll start with the button. The button has to be placed on the side of a block, and it will activate anywhere, including there. It will activate all of this redstone here, and even the redstone below the block. Levers placed on the sides of blocks will act exactly the same way as the buttons. Levers placed on top of blocks, however, will not. In particular, when you place a lever on top of a block, you will get an orientation that is either north-south, like this one, or east-west, like that one. This is probably a bug, but the north-south orientation is much more restrictive than the east-west orientation, which you can see here. Finally, you can use pressure plates. Pressure plates are very much like the east-west oriented levers. Of most important note is that you can use these things, these input devices, to power redstone underneath the block that they're on. This is particularly useful in making completely hidden redstone wiring, and that's half of the trick that you'll need to know. The other half will come in a bit. Now let's get acquainted with redstone torches. Torches have the interesting property that they both respond to redstone power and also create it. But how does one power a redstone torch if it also creates power? What you do is you power the block that it's attached to. This particular redstone torch is standing on a block, therefore you can power the block that it's standing on. This other redstone torch is on the side of a block, and you can either power that block like this, or you can place redstone dust on top, which will also serve the same function. Now here we have a visual indicator of how far a redstone torch will power redstone dust. If the dust is in any of these glassed-in positions, although it would be very difficult for it to be there, then it will be powered by the redstone torch. This is the method to get power through upwards. And this is the other half of how to make completely hidden redstone wiring. Here we have what I term a redstone turret pillar. You will see that when I push the button, torch at the top turns on for about as long as the button is pressed. You will also note that there is a slight delay between when I press the button and when that torch actually goes on. This is because redstone torches introduce a slight delay. The delay is known as a torch tick, and it is quite important when designing anything using redstone, and especially redstone torches. Now remember when I told you that redstone power only goes for 15 blocks? Well, now that we know how torches can be used, we know how to fix that part. In particular, let me show you a design for a very tiny repeater that you can use. You've seen this before. However, you don't actually have to build both parts of the repeater, both the torches of the repeater, in the same place. You could space them out up to 15 tiles in order to give yourself more space. While we're on the subject, let me show you a common mistake when powering a redstone torch from above. You may be tempted, or you may want to, place a block right above the torch. Unfortunately, that makes it, as you can see, power the block above, which powers the redstone dust next to it, which is on top of the block that the torch is attached to, which means the torch is powering itself, and is powering itself so rapidly that it just flickers on and off until Minecraft decides that it's just doing too much of that and turns it off. It does recover after a while, but this is not exactly very useful for transferring power from one place to another. Thank you for watching this tutorial on redstone basics, and have fun making your own redstone circuits.